2, we're going to bring in a legendary producer. I mean, when we talk about beats, you know what I'm saying? When we talk about music, when we talk about just overall killing it in music and marketing, you have to think about none other than S1. S1, what's up? How
What's
you doing?
good? How y'all doing?
What's good? What's good, S?
My brother,
Listen,
how you doing, man?
my brother, man. Listen, I see them things in the background. I
Oh,
see them things back there.
oh man.
Yo, listen. I was listening some of the tracks that you produce. Just getting right into it because people are on. Can you just drop? Because I want people to know some of the people that you touch and some of the tracks that you touch. Can you drop some gems on us? Name some tracks?
So a few joints I've done. Of course, like the usuals, the Kanye Power, Beyonce's Best Thing I Never Had. You got Kanye and Jay's Murder to Excellence from the Watch the Throne album. And then you have joints like Kirk Franklin's Strong God, and which I'm up for a Grammy for this year. Oh,
Okay,
I actually just won a Grammy for that last year. Yeah, man, just a bunch of joints. Lil Uzi, you got Game, you got Keisha Cole, Lecrae. The list goes on.
So let me ask you, okay? Because most people want to know, like working with like musical geniuses, like what is that like, and what do you take away from being in a room? I know Boss was just on and talking about being in a room, but when you're in the room, sometimes you're looking around and you're cautious. But being in those rooms, what is that like?
Man, it's it's an amazing thing, bro. I remember first going out to work with Kanye back in 2009, and this was actually my first big break, and I had always worked up to that moment. So I remember being in Hawaii in the studio with him, and my whole perspective on things prior to going out there was like, yo, what are these guys using? What are they doing? What are they, how are they getting their stuff to sound like this? But when you get in the room, you actually realize that it's nothing different that they're doing that you're doing. It's just the process, and it's the consistency, and it's the work they're putting in. And that's one of the things I got to see is like the work that he puts in. He's constantly locked in. He was literally the first one at the studio and the last one to leave. He surrounded himself with other masters, So I took so much away from that, man, and it just really just gave me a clear vision of, oh, okay, I'm going on the right path, But I have to elevate it in order to get these joints.
But that's what pushes us to greatness. Like when you start surrounding yourself around people that are consistent, that work ethic is consistent, and then they're surrounded with people that are mastering their craft, it forces you to level up.
Absolutely.
It forces you to go. So let's talk about leveling up, because in order for you to be a Grammy producer and for you to be in those rooms, you can't remain the same.
Absolutely.
So if I'm a young producer and I'm working in my basement, I'm working in my garage, no matter where I'm at, give me some motivation about leveling up and staying consistent.
Well, I always say life is only as good as your mindset. So that's the first thing. You have to make sure that your mindset is right, because whatever your mind is thinking, your body will eventually follow. But it's not until you train your mind to what you want and how to get there. You won't actually get there until you train your mind. So that's the first thing. And then another thing that I learned that's about my personal journey is realizing that it was always consistency over time. Always consistency over time. A lot of times we'll jump into things and we'll expect immediate results like this. But nothing that I've accomplished came just out of the blue. It was always me taking each step and letting that first step lead me to the next step. And then that step leads me to the next step. And then eventually over time, you get to where you're trying to go.
Wow. Kennedy, bring that question up. I see we had a question. What was your first placement? and how did you get in the room?
Okay, so I'll start with my first major placement because I was producing years prior to my first big break. So I'm gonna start with my major placement, and that was the Kanye Power joint. And
Mm.
this how I ended up in the room with Kanye. I started working with one of his good friends by the name of Ron Fest. And I don't know if you know Ron Fest.
Yeah.
Ron Fest is a writer. He's an outstanding writer, songwriter. So he was always writing with Kanye. So I started working with him on his project. And there was a certain situation, and I'll briefly explain the situation because I felt like this is what took me to the next level and actually got me in the room. So there was a situation with Ron Fest. He wanted some beats for me. He loved my beats. And he hit me up one day and he's like, yo, S, I'm loving these beats. It's 4 of them that I want, but I can only pay you for 2 beats.
Ooh.
So at that moment, I had a decision to make. Do I just be like, nah, I need you to pay me for these 4, or do I just go in and just be like, I'm gonna give you these 2 beats, pay me for these 2 beats, and I'm gonna give you the other 2 beats. And that's exactly what I did. And 2 months later, man, I get a call from him and he's like, yo, I'm in the studio with Kanye. Send me some beats over. If I get the opportunity, I'll try to play him some stuff. So I wind up sending him some beats and he played it for me, or he played it for Kanye. And a couple of days later, I'm on a flight headed to Hawaii to work with Kanye. And it wasn't until a few months later till Ron Fest hit me up and we had a conversation and he was like, yo, nobody has ever looked out for me like you did in that situation. He say, I felt like because you blessed me with those 2 beats, I had to return the blessing in another way. So I wanted to make sure that Kanye heard some of your beats. You know,
that is remarkable.
So my whole life situation could be completely different if I didn't be of service to him and allow him to use those 2 beats.
Wow. And you know, that in itself, when we're looking at music and marketing, you use common sense. But I've known you for a long time, as in, you know, being a great human being is super important as just as being famous or in money. Like, just by you understanding and paying attention to the situation, you were able to make the right judgment because you wasn't making crazy money at the time. So it's easy, like, nah, bro, you got to pay me for this because, like, I got a family to feed.
Yep.
Right. Instead, you made a decision of a choice that pretty much changed your entire life, which is like crazy. That's phenomenal.
I think people sometimes forget that too. You know, talent is everything, but if you don't have like integrity matters. You know, I've been worked into so many situations that just because I was an easy person to work with, you know, I've had people come out and tell me like, yo, I just love you being around. I love your energy. Like, come help me on this album. Come help me on this project. You know, so that goes a lot further than talent. Talent is good. I believe in talent is good. Having a gift and exercising that gift. However, don't forget the character, and the integrity.
Right. So let me ask you this, do you have a mentorship program or something that young producers can join and get that mentorship? And one thing that I stress, and I stress this to a lot of people because I get hit up all the time, can you mentor me? I say, yes, but that comes with a fee. And the reason why it comes with a fee, we got to talk about the money part, is because when you invest your money, you're really going to take all the information and apply it. And that's all I really want you to do, because my time is money. So it's the information that I'm willing to share, but you have to pay me. If you want me to be your mentor, you're going to have to pay me because you're going to need to invest in yourself.
That's absolutely right, bro. And I always look at, like, on my journey, that's one thing that I never shied away from is I invested in myself. I was spending money I didn't have to get to certain conferences in Atlanta and LA and in these different places because I knew I had to position myself to be around others that was already doing what I was doing. you know, and it was at those conferences where I was meeting certain executives and other producers and then starting to build relationships with them and networking with them. But it was always me investing within myself. And
Wow.
one thing that will really jumpstart your career is surrounding yourself with mentors and being in some type of mentorship. So to answer your question, yes, I do mentor a lot of up and coming producers and songwriters. And what I've been doing lately is just doing one-on-one consultations, you know,
What does that look like? What does that look like? What does a session of one-on-one look like with you? Because there's going to be some people, it's airing live right now. And once we produce it and put it out, there's going to be some people say, man, I want to learn from him. So what does that look like?
So each consultation that I do, it varies from person to person. So one could be like, yo, I just want to spend this time to just learn. I have so many questions I need to ask. Like, how can, you know, just questions about the music industry. It could be questions about the process of getting from point A to point B in the industry. It could be the creative process. You know, how do you go about creating? What type of equipment do you use? What do I need to do to start producing? You know, so it can go from the beginner level to the intermediate level to also the advanced level as well. Another thing that I love to do that I do on my consultations too is I provide feedback and insight. I allow producers to play their tracks. I can give them some type of feedback and let them know what they can do to make it better or make it sonically sound better. You know, how to arrange the track better, because song arrangement is so important in trying to get your tracks placed with certain artists. You know, so it's all these little things that based on my experience, I'm able to just provide that information and you know, allow them to grow. And it's the good thing that I love about it is seeing people once they do a consultation and they'll do another one a few weeks later, and I'm seeing the growth. And I've actually signed some producers a while back off of seeing their growth, doing them consistently with me. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, now you're ready to compete. You know, so
mentorship, that's amazing. Mentorship is so important. Finding someone that can teach you along the way, someone that can help you grow and develop is unmatched.
Yes.
So let's talk about your book.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I think the book is amazing. Tell me, what made you want to write your book?
So the main reason behind wanting to write my book was once I realized my purpose of always wanting to encourage, motivate, and impact people, I thought to myself, what better way to do it than to consolidate all my personal experiences into one, into one book.
Right.
So yeah, that's exactly what my book is, man. It's a memoir, and it pretty much just highlights all the important situations of my life. And I wanted to make sure with this book, it wasn't about, hey, look at me, this is what I achieved, but I wanted people to really get to dive into the process and the journey of how I got to those achievements. You know, so it focuses a lot on my weaknesses, my disappointing moments, my losses, you know, that got me to the wins.
Wow. What's the title of this book?
Yeah, so the title of the book is Pray, Focus, Plan, Execute. If you can see
Slide it over so we can see it. Yeah, there we go.
Pray, Focus, Plan, Execute.
Focus, plan, and execute.
Yep.
That's crazy there.
And the reason why I came up with that title is as I was writing the book, towards the end of the process of writing the book, I realized that all four of these things were present in all my achievements. You know, it was always prayer, me having gratitude and acknowledging that it was so much bigger than me, and that God allowed me to be in the places and accomplish the things that I was accomplishing. And then focus, so important, because in today's world we have so many distractions. You know, so it's all about having that laser sharp focus on our dream and on our task to be able to really really just be able to focus on just that and eliminate all the distractions around us. You know, so I felt like the focus was another important thing. And then planning. I say planning is like navigation. Without navigation, if you just have a destination, but you don't have the directions to get to the destination, then you're just wandering.
Right.
So it's so important to have a plan in place of where
That's
you're trying
crazy.
to get, so you can execute that plan. And then, of course, execute. You know, we can have a plan, we can have a dream, we can have a vision, but if we don't execute it, then it just always will remain a plan, a dream, or or whatever we're trying to accomplish.
Right. Man, you listen, that's when you killed it, bro. You talking about 12 minutes, a second quarter going into halftime. Man, I couldn't ask for a better second quarter. Brother, you know I love you and my sister.
Man.
And so how can everybody find you? And I'll let Kenny take over from there.
Okay.
How
So
can they
everybody,
find you?
you can find me on socials at Symbolyc One. That's SYMBOLYCONE, and that's on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then also you can purchase the book, Pray, Focus, Plan, Execute. You can go to symbolicone.com. It's also available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and then also have an audiobook as well that's available at audible.com.
Fire, super fire. Well, there we have it. We didn't kill the second quarter in the game. Thank you so much for S1 for being on 48 minutes of game. It's time for us to transition into